order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Madam Clerk is out tonight, so I will do the roll call of members. Member Robertson? Here. Member Milburn?
Present.
Member Stoner?
Present.
Member Taylor? She's absent. And I am present as well. All right, with that, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Any questions, comments, changes? Okay. Would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor of the approval of the minutes say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, minutes are approved. All right, now on to department head reports. First up is the Police Department, Chief Wormuth.
Good evening, everyone. During the period between August 28th and today's date of 9/10, the Lebanon Police Department responded to 727 calls for service. A total of 21 persons were arrested for the following crimes: driving without a license, 4; wanted on a warrant, 4; driving while suspended, 3; operating while intoxicated, 3; possession of marijuana, 3; possession of meth, 1; maintaining a common nuisance, 1; minor in consumption of alcohol, 1; and contributing to the delinquency of a minor, 1. We issued 8 handgun carry permits during this period. From August 5th to the 8th, crime scene tech Colleen Clark attended the 6th annual Death Investigation Conference. And our 3 new probationary officers, Tim Edmonds, James Comage, Eric Taylor, officially started on the department August 5th. For the next month, they will be completing station training, firearms orientation, and ride-alongs. The 3 officers report to the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy on October 8th. They'll be down there till, I believe, January 18th. They'll be at the academy for 16 weeks before return to LPD to begin their field training. They should be on the road sometime around May, and they will be a welcome addition to our manpower. This Wednesday, September 12th, the Lebanon Police Department will be joining the Office of the Indiana Attorney General, Curtis Hill, in a prescription drug take-back event. We will be collecting any unused, unwanted, and expired medication drugs for proper disposal. This event will be held at the Boone County 4-H grounds from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is also a great opportunity to speak to staff members of the Attorney General's office and the Lebanon Police Department if you have any questions or concerns. If you cannot make the event, please remember the Lebanon Police Department has a prescription drug disposal bin located on our lobby of our police station. I also once again to announce that we are still accepting applications for employment as a patrol officer with the Lebanon Police Department. Applicants need to be between the ages of 21 and 36, U.S. citizens, high school grad or GED, and no felony convictions. Those interested are encouraged to contact LPD for a pre-application. Also, if the public has any questions, they can call me directly at 765-482-8836. I will always freely speak to them. They're welcome to come in, stop by, and I'll tell them everything they need to be to become a police officer. And finally, we would like to thank Lieutenant Mark Tibbs for his 29 years of service. Lieutenant Tibbs retired September 3rd. He is now a school resource officer with Harney, but he did devote 29 years to this city. He was our highest tenured officer. We wish him well and wish him great luck in his new endeavor as a police officer for the school. That is all I have today.
Thank you, Chief. What was the date for the take-back event? For the
This Wednesday,
September 12th
from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the 4-H grounds. We will be there with staff from Curtis Hill, and I don't know if he's going to be there or not, but definitely his staff will be.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next up is Fire Department, Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone. Since the last Board of Works meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 162 emergency calls of service, logged 265 training hours, performed 5 commercial inspections, and 47 occupancy updates. So that's a new statistic that we're using. We put together an initiative with our inspection division to go out and update all occupancies in the city of Lebanon for public assemblies. So you'll see new occupancy signs in churches and restaurants and places of that sort. We're also supplying them with a frame to put the occupancy report and guidelines on, so you'll be seeing those as you venture out into the community. It's a great initiative, and just really proud of our inspection division doing that. We installed 2 car seats and participated in 2 public education events. On September 5th through 7th, Lieutenant Kurt Gott and firefighters Jason Adams attended a 3-day course on investigating car fires and how to defend them, and very happy with the course. They enjoyed it and said it was very productive. Starting today and finishing up October 19th, firefighters Brandon Beasley, John Thompson, and Tori Bossum will be starting their Fire Officer 1 course. Fire Officer 1 is a necessary course for our firefighters to take to become ride-out officers and then progress to the rank of lieutenant. And that class will finish up on October 19th. And we'd like to thank the Zionsville Fire Department for hosting this for us. This week, Monday through Wednesday, we are hosting 3 days of live fire training. Crews from Zionsville, Whitestown, and the Center Township Fire Department will be participating. The burns are scheduled each day at 0900 hours and 1300 hours. And we're working on operational continuity with these departments because they come into the city of Lebanon and we reciprocate that with them in their respective city or towns or townships. So it's just an opportunity for the departments to come together and train under stressful live fire conditions and have multiple crews doing multiple operations during a live fire event. So very happy with the first day of training, and we'll be out there tomorrow and Wednesday. We'd like to encourage any members of the Board of Works or the council, if they would like to come out and experience the training, they're more than welcome to be at the command post. Again, that's 0900 and 1300 hours tomorrow and Wednesday. And finally, I'd like to talk about the city's new ISO rating. ISO stands for Insurance Services Office, and we have been under an ISO reevaluation. This happens approximately every 4 to 5 years. And ISO is essentially a company that gathers data and decides what kind of rates insurances should charge homeowners and commercial businesses on their insurance rates. And they look at several different factors, and it's broken down into 3 areas. First area is fire departments. They'll look at many, many different things for fire departments. They'll be graded on staffing, training hours, equipment, yearly equipment testing, apparatus, station locations, commercial business inspection, pre-plans, just all sorts of different things that are all inclusive to this ISO reevaluation. For the second part, they look at water utilities. They look at flow tests, hydrant testing, infrastructure improvements within the water utility. And then the last component is 911 dispatch. So they need the data from the dispatch center on how long it takes them to process a call for fire and EMS. And we are currently working with Boone County Dispatch on 2 large initiatives to improve that turnover time in calls. And one project is called Locution that we've talked about before. And this is the PS Lit funds going to work for the community with Locution, and that's automated dispatch. And then the second component is called ProQA. It's just a way that the dispatchers have an itemized list on when they receive a call, the questions that they ask, whether it's a fire or an EMS event. And it's really going to shave some time off and provide some consistency there. So very happy with our utilities, our dispatch center for being good partners with us and working on this ISO rating. So before we were a high class 4 and we moved to right in the middle. We are now a Class 3 ISO city. There's only 8% of all city and towns and townships in the United States that reach a Class 3 rating. Very proud of that. We're anxious to get that information out, and that's definitely going to have a positive impact on insurance premiums for homeowners and commercial business. We are very close to it too. We feel like that we have some things in place that can improve that with Locution and ProQA. And really the next step for Lebanon Fire is getting our ladder 13 in service 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we're gonna need an increase in staffing to do that. We always take a substantial hit from ISO because we cross-staff our ladder. So if our engine goes out from Station 11, our ladder is out of service. So that's the next move for the Lebanon Fire Department. We really feel like that Class 2 rating is very attainable for us. And I would like to thank the Board of Works, the council, and the mayor for trusting the administrators of the Lebanon Fire Department. Having a fire department is a very expensive venture, and for trusting us when we come to you for equipment, manpower, and just moving the department in the right direction. And I want to thank each of you, the mayor, and also the council for allowing that to happen.
Well, thank you,
Questions?
Chief. I know that's been a big goal on yours to get that ISO rating down to a 3, and it's great to hear that we accomplished that. So congratulations to your team and everyone in the fire department to make that happen. So appreciate all the hard work.
Thank you for the kind words. A lot of people had their hands in this. Deputy Chief Mike Baird and Deputy Chief Robert Wiry, we all put in countless hours on this. So thank you for the kind words, and feel like we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions from the board for
No.
Chief?
Good job.
Thanks.
Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, next up is Parks Department, John Messenger.
Good evening. Our dates for Fright Forest are October 25th, 26th, 27th. We're currently looking for volunteers for all 3 nights. Looking to add to the scenes. We need scene designers, guides, what have you, just volunteers in general. Really like any help, anybody that can help at that time to contact Parks Department, contact Allison. It's a good event, fun event for the parks. We look forward to it. We have about 2,000 people that come out and see that over the 3-day period. Lebanon Youth Football and Boys Girls Club Soccer have started. They both kicked off their season. Soccer's been a little delayed due to the nasty Saturdays that we've had. The last 2 Saturdays pretty rainy. They'll be participating out at Reese Park on Maple Drive, and youth football is going real strong down there. So please be mindful of all the kids, and if you can get out and see them, they sure do put their hearts into it. So if you get a chance, come out and see those youth and cheer them on. We had a couple of kickoff meetings last week. The splash pad that is going at Abner Longley, met with engineers and park board representatives, the mayor, Kevin the engineer. Looking forward to that project. We got site work done this week or last week, topography and all the utility locates, so we'll be putting that out for bid here pretty soon in the near future. Also some designs of the different features that will represent. Also, we had another kickoff meeting for the restroom / maintenance barn addition that we have there. Met with that engineer on that project. Also, we have the site work done, the topography, and the utility locate. So looking forward to kickoff, get that rolling also. So hopefully in the near future, we'll be putting that out for bid also. Want to get those projects done and under wraps. Met with Alan Milburn last week too. We're working on that project, getting ready for the Rotary is helping us out with the project at Memorial Park at the large shelter. Looking forward. It's so nice to work with Alan, Mr. Milburn, I'm sorry. Anyway, really nice to work with him. Yeah, it is. It's really good, and it's just going to be such a neat project anyway. And can't thank the Rotary for all their participation and help with that. But it's moving right along, and hopefully we'll get some work done yet this fall. Got quite a bit going on 2019, but we'll be ready to rock and roll in 2020 for the 100th year of Rotary and also of the Lebanon Memorial Park. Currently repairing sidewalk on 39. That project will be going this week. We're repairing, we're cutting out, we're removing, putting some curbs in. All that work hopefully will be done this week now that we have dry weather. So looking forward to that. Just be mindful of the workers there. Quite a bit. We've already marked all the repairs that we need to do. Also, we closed the pool last weekend. So 2018 Seashore Water Park is in the books. We profited about $6,000 more than last year, or brought in $6,000 more. That was a 2-week delay that we had last year. The Mill Canyon Classic will be run earlier in May, so we won't run into that Labor Day, so we will be open on time. It'll probably be 70 degrees in the pool, though, at that time. Never fails. For some reason, it was 90 degrees this year. But had a very good season. The lifeguards did an outstanding job. We even had an incident on Labor Day that, well, we had quite a few incidents, but they all performed tremendous. Can't say enough about the help. In fact, our own Joe LePage's son was involved in that, did just an outstanding job, did his job. Got to say that. But thanks to the EMTs and all the fire that were out there to help, and police, they were right on the scene. Everybody came out safe, and that's what we're all after at the end of the year. Again, a great season at the water park, doing repairs on that yet this fall, getting ready to dump the water to the utility as soon as the chlorine and all that is out. But that's all that we have going on.
Okay, thank you, John. Any questions from the board?
I just make a comment, John. Mr. Milburn was my father.
Yeah, well,
Alan is fine.
That's good. I do appreciate your help, and it's a great project, and I'm excited about that, and that's an exciting one.
Any questions from the public? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, next up is the engineering department. Kevin Krulik.
Good evening, board members. Updates for tonight, a few project updates. Not a whole lot going on East Street, but I just want to update you that we are still working through that drainage dispute with between our engineer and contractor. Both, again, have ensured me that this is an issue that they will solve amongst themselves. This is not an issue that is the city's to solve or pay for. And as soon as we get that cleared up, that will be the end of that project. As far as other projects going on throughout the city, the Northern Interchange feasibility study, no real updates there. That's going to sit idle for quite some time, probably until we find ways to pursue funding or other opportunities or avenues for that project. The main project obviously going on right now is our downtown project. A lot happening there, even though we've had a very wet and soggy couple days. I guess to give you some statistics, and I thank Derek Warren for this information as our floodplain administrator. We got about officially 5.8 inches of rain over the last 4 days. And I will say, I think my gauge at my house was much higher than that, so I don't know if that's an anomaly or what, but I would have put it closer to 8 inches. The creek did peak out at a flood elevation of 8.4 feet. 9.0 feet is minor flood stage. 13 feet is when the creek really starts to break its banks and start flooding people's properties. So we dodged a bullet there. Luckily, the rain kind of came in waves, and the creek was able to do its job and get the water out. Flowing at an incredible rate. You might have saw some Facebook posts about this, but we normally discharge through the city about 5 to 10 cubic feet per second. We peaked out at about 600 cubic feet per second in the middle of the rain. So it's definitely been a wet couple of days. That has slowed down the downtown construction. But fortunately, we were in a good spot. We had our storm sewer tie-ins complete. We had stone down over 95% of the Meridian Street section. So really, we, other than being down on Friday and Saturday, I don't think we're going to lose any further time due to the rain. On that note, work completed since the last meeting. The Main Street demolition is complete with the exception of a small pedestrian walkway along the building frontages, as well as a walkway along the courthouse wall on the west side. That is to provide access to the ramp that provides ADA access to the courthouse there at the southeast corner of the courthouse. As soon as we get the walk to the south to the new parking spaces along Main Street, we will then demo that walk on the courthouse side and switch over that ADA access to the south. This also provides access to the Sheriff's Department for their transfer of prisoners. Water mains on Main Street are all complete, currently being tested and going through that acceptance process. We got some concrete bands poured in the alley south of Main Street. Our penny farthing bicycle benches were installed along Main Street. I think I mentioned this, storm sewer tie-ins on Meridian and Washington and Main and Meridian were both completed. Main Street is drained a little bit different than your average section. That's all drained through permeable pavers and under drains, so there's not storm sewer inlet structures to trip over or to cause any problems in that space that will serve double purpose as an event space. Work expected in the coming next couple weeks. We'll expect to put the Main Street alley trench drain into place. We're also doing some masonry repairs to the buildings on either side of that alley. No damages there. These are just repairs associated with some masonry problems that were uncovered as the old alley was removed. These are things that were previously below the old alley elevation. So some window wells there that we've got to properly make sure are cleaned up before we move on. Sidewalk removal along the east side of Meridian and placement of temporary stone. That will happen probably end of this week or first of next, because the next thing really for the water main work is the installation of the new water laterals to those buildings. So as the water laterals go in, the sidewalk will have to come out, temporary stone will go back down to make sure everything is still accessible, and then we'll get ready to re-pour those sidewalks, and again look to do that after hours when it's as least amount of disruption to our businesses. Walks and wall footings are scheduled to start going in this week along State Road 39 south of the courthouse entrance, and again walks on the east side of the courthouse up against the buildings and against the courthouse wall will go in as we begin that transfer of the ADA access to the building. Again, I always report this, but we've also seen no seismic monitoring problems over the last 2 weeks that would cause any vibrations that would warrant concern for damage to any of our historic structures. On that note, the Historic Preservation Commission did issue approval last week for the county's plans to replace their southerly walk on the courthouse. Again, continue to look for weekly updates on the contractor's weekly email. Look for daily updates from the Heart 11, and I thank them. I thank Joe for all the work they do on putting out those daily updates. Remind everyone to continue to embrace the orange and support those downtown businesses. I'm going to go ahead and name them by name since we've turned the corner and we're on Meridian. Feel free to support all these folks. House Surveying and Engineering, the Freestyle Academy of Hair, El Chisme, the Lebanon Ballet School, Merle Norman, Samson Family Leather, the David F. Truitt Attorneys, and Witsit Nooning Cruz Attorneys, and Patrick's Office Supplies. So please continue to support those businesses during this time. Moving on to other projects. Resurfacing projects have begun last week. We're working in the Marley addition with some ADA ramp removal and replacements. Additional work is expected to continue in the southwest quadrant of the city in the coming week. Once we get final schedules from contractors, we'll start blasting those out via our social media outlets. But right now, this is really all that we know is handicap ramp work starting this week. Remind everyone there are 20 projects totaling probably a little over 5 miles, centerline miles of new roads going down, new road resurfaces going down. Those are all under contract. 3 separate contracts, 20 projects, as I said. Grady Brothers is doing the bulk of those at 17 projects. Baumgartner has 1, and local Triangle Asphalt Company has 2 projects. Also want to report that we have requested quotes for the resurfacing of some alleys. These are alleys that are bound by Meridian Street, East Street, Hewlin Boulevard, and Fordyce Road. These are all alleys that were damaged either through the construction projects with Meridian and East Street over the last few years or through the Vectran gas pipeline replacement. So we have 3 quotes from those contractors, and later on the agenda I will ask for authorization associated with those. The low quote, by the way, is from Baumgartner Asphalt Company for $38,017. Moving on, the RFP for Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2 for inspection services was recently posted on NDOT's website. Currently it's taken down because those letters of interest were due last Wednesday. Happy to report we had 7 firms respond: American Structure Point, Butler, Fairman, and Seifert, Crossroads Engineers, Etica Group, GAI Consultants, and Hanson Professional Services, and VS Engineering. All letters have already been scored per NDOT's procedures by Mayor Gentry, myself, and David Newell, our street and stormwater superintendent. And based on the scoring, we are prepared to name VS Engineering as the highest scoring respondent and are asking for your permission to proceed with those contract negotiations. And remind everyone that the project is scheduled for a January 2019 letting. Pending, the only real pending item at this point is right-of-way acquisitions that we still need to wrap up before the 1st of November. A couple other last-minute things. Grant Street, NDOT has now released us to begin contract negotiations with Butler, Fairman, and Seifert for the design of that project. And then we've got 2 other residential projects that are making their way through TAC reviews, Sunbrook and Drake Estates. Drake Estates is also up for PUD ordinance review next week. And before we move on to your planning department update, I do want to call special attention to Makeda Love, Lauren Gillingham, and Ben Bontrager. We've really stepped up, I say we, those guys have really stepped up code enforcement over the last few months. And I personally see the amount of grief and turmoil that puts on them and the department. You know, we're not that. It's not always the most pleasant thing when people get those code enforcement officers at their door. So, but they're really stepping up, trying to clean up some areas in Lebanon that need some attention. They're very polite, very responsive, and very willing to work with people. But they're taking a lot of hits from that. So I do want to call special attention to the efforts of those 3. So that's all I have.
That's all? All right. Got a lot of stuff going on. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, next up is Planning Department, Ben Bontrager.
I've got a short report, so I'll make up some time for us there. Planning Department operations over the last couple of weeks, we do remain busy. 38 building inspections were completed in the last couple of weeks, so we're doing about 4 or 5 inspections a day, so we remain busy there. We did see a little bit of a downturn in the permits issued over the last couple of weeks. I'm guessing that's an anomaly, and probably with all the rain, nobody was thinking about doing any projects in their house, so I expect those to pick back up again. As Kevin just mentioned, code enforcement remains one of the big things that we're focusing on right now. So we've got a laundry list of different items that we are addressing right now. Trash and debris, grass and weeds to continue to be big, but we're also addressing a lot of junk vehicles and those sorts of things right now too. In terms of the projects that the planning department has going on right now, no real big updates right now, but as it relates to code enforcement, I'll just remind everybody, including those in the general public, they do have the ability to download an app to their phone that gives them real convenient access to the planning department to be able to submit questions or complaints as it relates to code violations. If they would go on their app store and do a search for iWork, IWORQ, and download the iWork service request app, then if they would type in then on the password is capital LEB01, and that'll allow them to submit to the planning office directly any complaints or concerns that they have in the community, whether it's potholes, downed limbs, sidewalk issues, trash, weeds, anything like that. That will all come to our office, and then if it's something that we can directly address, we will do so, and if not, we will forward it to the proper department to address. The benefit to the community is that they will then get updates every time we address something related to that complaint. So once we've checked on it and confirmed that it is a violation, they'll get a notification. When we send out a letter, they'll get a notification. When it's completed or addressed, they'll also get notifications. So it'll give them an opportunity to be able to see what's going on and get updates rather than having to call our office to find out what's going on. So that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Ben, is that password LEB01? Is that what you said?
It is LEB01, capital L.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir. All right. Next up, Street and Stormwater Department, Dave Newell.
Hello, everyone. See, the street department and stormwater department combined, we got 46 additional calls since the last Board of Works meeting. 40 of those were for brush. One was for a dead animal, one was for a bicycle, and 2 for the road repair, and we did have 2 calls for roads to be swept. Usually it's from mud and stuff from our construction sites is what it usually boils down to. The street department crew has been mowing easements still. We're not quite out of that season yet, so keeping up with the mowing. We did start back today with the chipper. That's where most of our calls came from. It was down for the last couple weeks. It was at Vermeer. So we got it back today, or actually Friday, when it was pouring down rain, so you know how that works. But today it was out. We did Morningside, Edgewood, and we're going to make our way through the whole city. We just had to start somewhere. And we've been out with our street sweeper doing our schedule, staying on top of our street sweeping schedule we have. Let's see, we continue to put up our new street signs and poles, and that's probably going to run out pretty soon with the weather. You know, it just depends on the weather, but we're putting up as much as we can. We did use 4 ton of hot mix since we met. We filled a lot of potholes, trying to do a different route where we square them up, use some tack and stuff, and make them last forever instead of continually fixing them. So might take a little bit more until we get used to it, but we're getting it. Let's see, the stormwater crew has repaired 3 more catch basins. All those were in Edgewood. We're getting ready to do a couple in Marlee where they're paving. To help, we're going to team up with Grady Brothers concrete crew where some ADAs where we have some of the curb back ramps or drains right in ADA ramps. So we're going to make some flat drains to make the ADA requirements a little better for people. We've cleaned, obviously we were cleaning storm drains Thursday and Friday, mostly Friday. We try to get ahead Thursday, but when it rains like that, you know, it just, I will say we didn't have any calls over the weekend. I mean, people were pretty patient knowing that it was going to take a while for the rain to go down. But we tried to stay ahead of it, but best we could. We are continuing to do our inspections for our new construction, new pipes, and Riley Ridge, stuff like that, whenever we get a chance. Auburn Meadows. I guess on that note, you know, I'm proud of the guys. They've really been working hard, and I can't say no more about them. They're out there working and doing the job. We can't help some of our setbacks when we have equipment go down, but we get right on it, and people's been pretty understanding for the most part. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
No.
Any questions for the public? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. I do have some stuff maybe later we want to try to surplus.
We're going to do the surplus stuff
do
later.
that
Yep,
later.
we'll call you back up. And then last but not least, communications, community development, Joe LePage.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Wanted to highlight some September events coming up within our community. It's another great and fun-filled month of events within Lebanon and Boone County. It happens as soon as this weekend. Back to the 50s at the fairgrounds, the 14th and 15th. A lot of fun, music, fun for the whole family. That's out of the fairgrounds, like I said. And then Kirchen Fest is coming up on the 22nd. That's at St. Joe's. And finally, the weekend after that is the Civil War reenactment. If you've never been to that, it's a lot of fun. So you're back to the 50s, you've got family fun at Kirchen Fest, and then you've got a little bit of history with former President Lincoln making his return to Lebanon to be here and to watch all the Civil War reenactment. Just an amazing weekend, or amazing month rather, of events going on in our community. Speaking of events within our community, Lebanon City Market, it wraps up. There are 4 markets remaining through the month of September, and then the first Friday in October. And just want to give a quick hats off to a couple of people. It was raining really badly last Friday, and you know, our Lebanon City Market is what's known as a rain or shine market. And so, you know, we would never cancel, but it's up to the vendors to either come and set up their booths or just say, you know what, it's too soggy, I'm not going to come. And so we have a new location, and that's over at the former Estes and former Kincaid Auto buildings. And we had 2 vendors that showed up that braved the elements that were out there. And so I just want to give a big thanks to Kevin and Ben in our planning department. Not only were they there for the market like they've been so many other times, but they went ahead and partook of the goods at that market, and just want to be able to get on a kind of a small soapbox and talk a little bit about the market. So much of the market is more than just fruits and vegetables. It's more than camaraderie. If you look at it from a straight business perspective, there are there are several businesses that begin from humble beginnings at things like a farmer's market. And so they'll come and peddle their goods and things that they maybe make at home. And if it goes well, sometimes there is one vendor in particular who is looking for space, who does not live in Lebanon, doesn't spend a whole lot of time in Lebanon, but based on just kind of the feedback and traffic at her shop, she's looking for spots in Lebanon. And so sadly, we haven't seen a whole lot of elected or appointed officials at our market this season. That's been terribly unfortunate given the proximity to our building here, city employees either. But wanted to make sure that folks know that it's more than just the fruits and veggies. They're great. They're baked goods. There are different artisan crafts that are over there. But wanted to give not only Lauren and Kevin and Ben, our planning department's been out in spades, whether it's stocking up on wine or getting some great baked goods and things. But a lot of the market is just more than just those fruits and veggies. It's about camaraderie. And so that increased support is very much appreciated by those folks that partake of the market. That being said, the market comes up on Friday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. We stay under the big red roof there off of Lebanon Street 39. And finally, our newsletter comes out on October 1st. And all you have to do, if you have a Back to the 50s event, we try to scour social media, try to get on Facebook and other social media channels as well. If you have information you don't mind sending to us, we try to pass it along to Danielle and the Public Access Channel gang as well. info@lebanon.in.gov is a place to send your info free of charge. We're happy to post it and happy to hopefully drive traffic to your respective events. So that email address again is info@lebanon.in.gov.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Chief?
Once the square is complete, will the farmer's market come back down to the square? Because I used to love walking from my office and going down there, buying my apple bread.
And then apple bread is back. That hasn't been determined yet. We've had an increased level of traffic. We had originally set up the market to be downtown, close to the county employees, so they could get off work at 4 o'clock, partake in the market, and then head home. Sadly, the similar situation we have here where folks are in a hurry to start their weekend, that hasn't happened, but we've had increased traffic under the big red roof. And so with it going through the process of being purchased, that whole property there, the potential new owners are big fans of the market being there. And so they're actually kind of carving out a space for the market to stay. It'll be up to the vendors and some of the organizers. There's also with the downtown renovation, as Chief was saying, there's a great space for it to be downtown as well. It will be a bit more off the beaten path, which is something we struggle with, to be honest. When it was on Main Street, kind of a block in, it was tough to get to unless an investment is made on the signage side of things. But that can certainly happen. And it'll just be a matter of taking a look at which location fits best. It's a great problem to have with potential new owners wanting to set up a spot for it, and then some great developers downtown creating a fantastic space as well. So I'll keep you posted, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the public?
I have a comment that I wanted to make. Joe, I know that you had filled me in on the status of the brick piles that are over here on the bricks that are being taken up from the excavation of the renovation of downtown on the courthouse square. And that although that's been publicized on social media and some other ways, I don't know that there's a lot of people still know about that. But from the standpoint of the age of those bricks and what it means from the history, there are people who are perhaps interested in just picking up a brick for a souvenir. And you had information on that they were like $1 a piece, and also that those funds were going to go for another good cause and good reason. You might elaborate on that just a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the first phase along Main Street, the bricks that were removed to make way to improve and replace aged infrastructure were put near that Estes building, kind of near the farmers market, and they were snapped up pretty quickly. And so we had a sign, and we put it out, as you said, Mr. Allen. As we said, Allen, it suggested $1 per brick. And so there's the key drop from the old dealership, and folks were putting the dollars in there. They've grabbed more of those bricks this time around for phase 2, and they date back all, way back to the beginning, I think, of the construction of the courthouse square. So we're talking, 1800s, I think early 1900s. And so some folks have come and picked up just a whole bunch of bricks, others just a few, just for a keepsake or so. The suggested donation is $1, as you mentioned, and all the money, there's more than $100 right now. We'd like to have that money be obviously as great as possible to be able to give it back to Historical Society. And so that's where that's going. It all, there's no middleman, no finder's fee. It all goes to one specific location, preservation of our historic community. So just drop in the key drop as much as you feel led to give, and it goes to one place.
Good job, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. All right, that concludes department head reports. I don't have any old business unless the board has some.
No.
Okay, with that, then we'll move on to new business. The first item I have up here is Lebanon Police Standard Operating Guidelines Revision Request. So Chief Wormuth, could you come forward and present that to us, please?
We have two standard operating guidelines we'd like to make amendments to, one being SOG 4.1. This is our take-home car policy. Most departments in this area give a take-home car vehicle or take-home vehicle to their officers, and they were allowed out-of-county use. We just recently adopted a policy, I believe a year or two ago, where we gave supervisors the donut county use. We are still the most restrictive department when it comes to take-home vehicles. We would like to loosen this up and give it to patrolman first class and above the donut county use. This will put us in line with Whitestown, Zionsville, the Sheriff's Department. We're doing things we need to retain officers. We're trying to match benefits as provided by other departments. So what we're asking for is nothing really extraordinary. It's the common SOG for most departments in this area.
And I would say too, we did kind of pilot with the supervisors, and we said, okay, if we do this, we want to see how much mileage, how much are they actually driving outside of Boone County, and it's a very small percentage. So it's
actually rare that they do take their cars out of county, but it's nice to have that option.
So it's not wouldn't be any significant impact from a fuel budget or anything like that, because when they are using it, they are required, do still have certain requirements they have to fall under, becomes assistance and things like that too. So really not a big change from a financial impact at all. So
The only question I had, Chief, and I think the mayor answered it earlier for me, was I wanted to make sure that the officers signed off on that they received that copy, and so you have that in your file to make
Yes,
sure that they got that.
we make amendments and we have them sign for it. And the officers have, well, it's been addressed that if you violate this policy or if you get in some sort of trouble while operating your vehicle outside of county, God help you.
Okay.
I will take care of it personally.
do you want to mention the other amendment as well too? Or do you have a question, Alan? Okay. The other amendment as well? We
The
can
other
do
is
both.
Standard Operating Guidance 39.3, which deals with evidence collection. Basically, we're putting an amendment there that no employee of the Lebanon Police Department can attend an autopsy of a cadaver for an outside agency without prior permission from the LPD administration. This is basically just for their emotional well-being.
Okay. Thank you, Chief. Any questions, comments, concerns from the board? Any questions, comments from the public?
Yes.
You got to come forward, John. Sorry. You got to come forward.
John, lastly, I just wanted to question now, as far as them going out in the county and so forth, how do you know whether they're out or whether they're not? And the only reason I'm asking, and this was way before you, but I found a Lebanon City police car up at South Bend one day and questioned it at that time, and nobody really had any answers. So how do you know, I mean, do they have like monitors, or is there GPS in the vehicles that you would know, or?
This is for off-duty use, so no, we wouldn't, they personally don't have to call me and let me know.
Right.
As far as if you saw a vehicle up there in South Bend, we travel all over state and even out of state for training. I'm pretty sure if you saw a Lebanon police car there way outside the Donut County use, that's on official business.
Okay.
They're probably attending a training class. But no, for off-duty use, we don't track it now. If they have over 500 miles of out-of-county use, they actually have to reimburse the city 55 cents a mile.
Okay.
So they can't take advantage of this.
Sure.
But do we go track them off-duty? No.
Okay.
Now, if they have their computers in the car, yes, there is a GPS unit and we can keep track of their speed, locations, and it's all recorded.
Just curious.
No problem.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. At this point, if there's any further discussion from the board, I would entertain a motion to approve the standard operating guidelines revision.
I would make a motion to approve the Lebanon Police Standard Operating Guidelines revisions as presented.
Okay. We have a motion to approve and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, those revisions are approved. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, next item up here is Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2 Construction Inspection Contract Authorization. So this would be Kevin.
Thank you. And Alan, one I guess other point on the bricks. We had another request as well from a local Boy Scout troop that wanted some bricks for a potential Eagle Scout project. So in addition to the piles of bricks over there at the old Estes Kincaid dealership for the public to pick up, we took several loads to a farm south of town where they're being cleaned by some Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts in preparation for a project.
Good.
So,
Good.
don't know what that project is yet, but we'll be happy to share it with everyone once we do.
All right.
Yeah, sorry to get us off track there, but yes, I mentioned this in my report, but we did post through NDOT an RFP for construction inspection services for Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2. This is the area from Hendricks Drive up to Spencer Avenue or State Road 32. Those responses, letters of interest related to that RFP were due back last Wednesday. We have 7 respondents that submitted, and I read those names earlier, but just to reiterate that, American Structure Point, Butler, Fairman, and Seifert, Crossroads Engineers, Etica Group, GAI Consultants, Hanson Professional Services, and VS Engineering. These letters were all reviewed and scored per the NDOT procedures with the NDOT forums by Mayor Gentry, myself, and Superintendent Newell. And the results of that scoring indicated that VS Engineers was the highest scoring consultant. I'm sorry, I should have handed this out at the beginning, but this is a summary of the scores that we put together. There on the left-hand side, the listing of those respondents. You can see the individual scores across the top and the 3 scores. We were scoring these proposals based on the firm's capacity, the firm's qualifications, the qualifications and experience of their project manager, and then their approach to the project. So, as I mentioned, VS Engineering was the highest scoring respondent, and at this time I would just like your authorization to proceed with NDOT approvals and contract negotiations with VS Engineering.
Any questions for Kevin?
No.
Okay. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the selection of VS Engineering for construction inspection on Indianapolis Avenue Phase 2.
So moved.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that has been approved. Thank you, Kevin. Let's do actually, you're still up here. So the next is the North Meridian Northeast Street Alley resurfacing quote selection.
Yes, thank you. I mentioned this earlier, but we want to resurface some alleys. This is probably part of a bigger program that we'll start rolling out in coming years, but we really had an issue there with these alleys that are between East and Meridian, north of Fordyce. They took a lot of beating with construction traffic over the last couple of years, but probably more damage was brought about by the Vectren pipeline replacements. Vectren did compensate the city for those replacements. but the compensation was based on patching to repair those alleys. We took the money from patching last year and resurfaced the alleys between East and Meridian all the way down to North Street, next to the IGA. So rather than patching, which is what the compensation was based off of, we did a full replacement of those alleys to the south. So this is just sort of completing that project to the north. And it's the right time to do it now all that construction is wrapped up. We requested 3 quotes from the 3 contractors that are doing our street resurfacing projects. It's Baumgardner and Company Asphalt Services, Triangle Asphalt Paving Corporation, and Grady Brothers Incorporated. All 3 qualified companies that we asked to quote this. And they all 3 responded. And of the 3, the lowest quote submitted was from Baumgardner and Company Asphalt Services for $38,017.
Okay.
This will be funded out of allocated street maintenance line items in the 2018 budget.
Okay. Any questions for Kevin on the resurfacing? Okay. At this time, I would entertain a motion that we select Baumgarten Company to resurface the alley bound by Fordyce, Eulin, North Meridian, and Northeast Street.
I'll make a motion, we approve the selection of Baumgardner in the amount of $38,017.
Okay, we have motion.
Improvements.
We have motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those here say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, that quote has been selected. Thank you, Kevin. And I think that concludes everything for you. So the next item up is surplus equipment declaration. First will be the police department. So it's Chief or Brad? Okay, Chief.
We have 2 2014 Dodge Chargers, one with 46,732 miles. The other was 62,599 miles. We ask that these be declared surplus. And we have a equipment room full of surplus light bars, siren boxes, and associated equipment. These go back to the Crown Vic days. We've offered them to Enterprise. Enterprise has looked at them, and they're not wanting it. It's basically scrap metal.
Okay.
We're hoping to clean the station up.
Are there any other departments that still use this equipment, or is it kind of?
Not too many Crown Vics out there anymore. You know, we can offer it to some if they would like it, if they
Okay.
need it. But a lot of this stuff's just too old and ancient.
Okay.
It's mostly just the actual lights, not LEDs.
Yeah.
It's just old. We need to clean it up.
Okay. So you got all the paperwork to bill from the surplus vehicles side? So you're
Yes.
We have all the paperwork and everything.
good? Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay. This time I would entertain a motion to surplus the 2 Dodge Chargers as well as the miscellaneous vehicle equipment currently in the police station.
I make a motion, we declare the 2 Dodge Chargers, 2014, last 4 VIN 22943 and 5167, and the miscellaneous parts as surplus.
Okay, we have a motion to declare surplus. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right, those are declared surplus. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
And then last but not least, surplus equipment request from the street department. So Dave?
Hello again. The street department would like to surplus 2 pieces of equipment. One of them is a Spalding hot box. It's a 1998. We have replaced it probably 6 years ago with a newer hot box. So Jamestown's borrowing it all the time, so we'd like to surplus it and give them opportunity to purchase it. It's a win-win for neighboring community there.
Okay.
And the other thing would be a Cat D3C dozer that's a 1974, which we used out at the landfill when it was open, and for leaves and stuff, to move leaves back, and then we dump more. Well, now it's set for like 3 years, I think, at the trail. So we finally got it back to the shop. There is a Ted Everett equipment company that came and looked at it. We've had multiple people look at it, seen it there, and they would like to purchase this and make the city a check on both items, and then they're gonna take them away, so we don't have nothing we gotta do.
So, is there no reason we would ever need a dozer? Do we have another dozer?
No, I mean, it hadn't been used, the last time it was used was on the trail to try to grade the trail, and it didn't even work out. That was before the asphalt went down. It didn't even,
I went out and looked at it, and it's really rough.
yeah, it's in pretty bad shape.
Yeah.
Most people that looked at it said there's too much there to do.
Yeah.
They don't want it.
Okay. Any questions?
Do we have to auction
You gotta speak in the microphone, Dick.
Yeah, we'll have to auction that off, won't we, or? Okay.
Yeah, but in order for us to auction it, though, we do have to declare it for surplus first, so.
Right, I know that.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions for Dave from the board?
No?
Okay. At this time, I would entertain a motion to surplus the hot box and the dozer.
I make a motion, we surplus the Spalding hot box and the Cat D3C dozer.
Okay. We have a motion to surplus. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, those equipments are now surplus. All right,
So
thank you, Dave.
Did I hear we need to auction those?
Yeah, so I would talk with Tanya to figure out the exact procedure. There's probably an estimated value on those, and
Yeah,
and
one of
Tanya
them-
can.
I have the estimated values, yeah.
Well,
It just depends on what it falls in
1,200
from.
and one was 7,000, so I don't know.
Yeah,
if
so
that-
the hot box, if Jamestown is interested, that may be under the threshold that if they could
Yeah.
do that. But if it's over that 5, it probably needs to be either in the city auction or something. We can figure.
Okay.
I'd get with Tanya tomorrow,
Yeah,
and she
no
can
problem.
help you out. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dave. Okay, any other new business come before the board? Okay,
No.
this time I would go on to claims. Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, would entertain a motion concerning the claims.
I make a motion, we approve the claims.
We have a motion to approve the claims. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, claims are approved. And any announcements, discussion? Okay, would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a
Second.
motion to adjourn and a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. The city council meeting will begin at 7:15.